The courtroom air tastes like recycled nothing, like breathing through paper. I sit with my hands folded in my lap, watching dust motes drift through the shaft of light from the high window. Ethan's lawyer is speaking, his voice carrying that particular brand of manufactured concern that costs $800 an hour. My client has endured years of disappointment, the lawyer says, adjusting his gold watch. Years of hoping for a family that could never be due to his wife's condition. The word hangs in the air like a diagnosis I never received. Ethan sits across the aisle in his charcoal Tom Ford suit, the one I helped him pick for our 5th anniversary. His jaw is set in that noble suffering angle he perfected for charity galas. To anyone watching, he's the picture of dignified heartbreak, a successful man betrayed by biology and a barren wife. Judge Rivera shifts her reading glasses, studying the papers before her. There's a manila envelope at her elbow, sealed with red string. My lawyer placed it there 20 minutes ago. Chain of custody maintained. Mr. Hale, the judge says, her voice cutting through the performance. You've made serious allegations about your wife's medical status. These are part of your argument for the asset division and the unusual confidentiality clauses you're requesting. Ethan nods, touching his temple as if pained. Your Honor, I've tried to handle this delicately. A man doesn't want to expose his wife's private struggles, but when she contests the simple truth... The simple truth, I repeat, and my voice doesn't shake. Not anymore. The judge's eyes move to me. Mrs. Hale, you'll have your opportunity to respond. I nod. Wait. The envelope sits there, patient as a blade. But to understand this moment, you need to understand how I got here. How a woman who once trusted completely learned to document everything. How love became control, so gradually I didn't notice until I was gasping for air. You need to understand Ethan. We meet at a fundraiser for literacy programs. I'm there because I believe in it. I work as a school counselor, and I've seen what reading can do for a kid's confidence. He's there because his PR manager, Ava, told him it would humanize his image after his company's aggressive expansion. I don't know that part yet. I only know he's beautiful in that specific way. Money polishes people. Perfect teeth, perfect posture, perfect laugh that hits all the right notes. You actually read to the kids, he says, finding me by the coat check. I watched you. You do voices. They're 7. Voices are mandatory. I'm fumbling with my coat zipper. It sticks sometimes. He reaches over, steady and sure, and fixes it in one smooth motion. Let me take you to dinner, somewhere they won't judge you for doing voices. Our first date is at a restaurant where the walls are dark wood and the wine costs more than my car payment. He asks real questions about my kids at school, about what makes me angry, about whether I think people can really change. When I laugh at something, really laugh, not the polite work laugh, but the one that makes me snort, he pauses. What? I ask, suddenly self-conscious. You have a wonderful laugh, he says. Then, softer, like he's sharing a secret, though you might want to practice controlling it a bit for places like this. The words are gentle, wrapped in a smile, a tiny gift of guidance. I practice my laugh on the way home, trying to make it smaller, more appropriate, more his. That's how it starts. Love and correction, braided so tight you can't tell where one ends and the other begins. 3 months in, he redecorates my apartment without asking. I come home from work to find my grandmother's rocking chair gone, replaced with something Danish and minimal. Where's my chair? In storage. Don't worry, it's climate controlled. He's arranging white orchids in a vase I don't recognize. This is better, don't you think? Cleaner? The word cleaner stings. My apartment wasn't dirty. It was lived in. Coffee rings on the wooden table, a stack of student artwork held by magnets on the fridge, photos and mismatched frames, some sitting slightly crooked on the shelf because I never bothered to straighten them after dusting. Now everything is perfect, aligned, like a magazine spread waiting to be photographed. I loved that chair, I say quietly. He crosses to me, cups my face in his hands. His cologne is cedar and something expensive I can't name. We're building something together. That means letting go of old things sometimes. Trust me. I do. God help me, I do. We marry after 18 months. The wedding is elegant, understated, exactly what Ava deemed appropriate for his brand. My sister Maya pulls me aside during the reception. You sure about this? She's had 3 glasses of champagne, which makes her honest. He's very particular. He cares about things being right, I say, adjusting the pearl necklace he selected for me. That's not a bad thing. Maya looks at me for a long moment. Just remember, you're allowed to be yourself. But myself is evolving, being refined. Ethan helps me shop for better clothes. Investment pieces, he calls them. He suggests I consider contacts instead of glasses. You have beautiful eyes, why hide them? He times how long it takes me to respond to his texts and mentions it if I'm slow. Communication is respect. Each correction is delivered with love, with patience, like he's helping me become my best self. I start checking my reflection before speaking, monitoring my volume, my tone, my enthusiasm. The kids at school notice. Miss H, you okay? Jalen asks one afternoon. You seem quiet. Just tired, I tell him, but the truth is I'm concentrating on being better, on being enough. The baby conversation starts on our first anniversary. We're in Napa, overlooking a vineyard that looks painted. He's talking about legacy, about what we'll build together. I want our children to have everything, he says, swirling wine in his glass. The best schools, the best opportunities. I want them to be extraordinary. I want them to be happy, I say. He looks at me with that particular expression, the one that means I've said something sweet but naive. Happy comes from achievement, from knowing you're exceptional. We start trying that night. He's scheduled it. Optimal timing, he says, based on some app that tracks fertility. Romance becomes procedure. Sex becomes goal-oriented. He takes vitamins, makes me take vitamins, monitors my diet. No coffee, he says, removing my mug one morning. It affects fertility. 1 cup won't. Why risk it? His hand is on my stomach, possessive and tender. Our baby deserves every chance. Our baby, like it already exists, waiting to be earned through perfect behavior. 6 months pass. Nothing. He schedules appointments with specialists. The first clinic is all marble and soft lighting, like a spa for reproduction. Dr. Patel is kind, thorough. She runs tests on both of us. These things take time, she says. You're both young, healthy. Sometimes bodies need time to adjust. But Ethan doesn't believe in waiting. He schedules more appointments, different clinics, always during my work hours. Can we do evenings, I ask? I have kids who need... This is more important than your job. He doesn't say it meanly. He says it like it's obvious, like I'm silly for not seeing it. I start missing work, start lying to my principal about medical appointments. The stress makes my cycle irregular, which makes Ethan more intense. You're not trying hard enough, he says one night after another negative test. You're stressed about the wrong things. Maybe we should take a break, just for a month? That's exactly the attitude that's causing this. He's pacing our bedroom, all that controlled energy with nowhere to go. Do you even want children? Of course Then act like it. The turning point comes 18 months into trying. He's been going to appointments alone, saying he's handling the logistics so I can focus on work. He comes home with printouts, terminology I have to Google later. Low ovarian reserve, diminished fertility, unexplained infertility. The doctor thinks it might be you, he says, not looking at me. Your body. Some women just can't. The words hit like ice water. What did the tests say specifically? Do you really want those details? It's depressing. He pulls me close, plays with my hair. We'll keep trying. I won't give up on you. Give up on me, like I'm a project that's failing? I call Dr. Patel's office the next day, but they say I need to come in person for results. When I arrive, the receptionist looks confused. Your husband canceled your follow-ups, she says, checking the system. 3 months ago, said you were seeking treatment elsewhere. What? He picked up your records, signed the release himself. You'd put him as authorized on the forms. I had. Of course I had. We were a team. That night, I asked him directly, "Where are my test results? The actual papers?" "Filed away." "Why the sudden interest?" "They're my medical records." "Our medical records. This is our problem." He's typing on his phone, not looking up. "Unless you're planning something I should know about?" The threat is subtle, woven into concern. I drop it, but I start paying attention in ways I hadn't before. Start noticing the locked filing cabinet in his office, the second phone that appears sometimes, the way Ava looks at me during company events, pity mixed with something else. He buys a house without telling me. I come home from work to find him with blueprints spread across our dining table, his face bright with the particular pleasure of acquisition. 4 bedrooms, he says, perfect for our family. Ethan, we haven't even... The master suite has a sitting area that could be a nursery initially. Then we'll transition to the room down the hall. He's already decided where our theoretical children will sleep, what color their walls will be. I'm having it painted gender neutral for now, sage green. The house is beautiful and sterile, all clean lines and empty space waiting to be filled. He takes me through each room, narrating a future he's designed without me. The children's playroom with built-in storage for educational toys. The study where they'll do homework under supervision. The backyard with space for a structure he calls appropriate play equipment. What if they want a trampoline? I ask, trying to imagine actual children in this museum. He laughs like I've suggested letting them juggle knives. Trampolines are insurance liabilities and injury factories. Our children will have better options. Our children, always our children, never just children, like they're a merger we're negotiating. He moves us in within a month. My grandmother's chair never makes it out of storage. The charity gala is for reproductive health, which feels like a cosmic joke. Ethan insists we attend. Good optics, he says, showing we're not ashamed. I wear the dress he selected, midnight blue and conservative. He coaches me in the car. If anyone asks about children, redirect. Talk about your work with kids. Make it seem like you're fulfilled. I am fulfilled. He pats my hand. Of course you are. The ballroom is all crystal and candlelight. I make rounds with him, smiling at the right moments, laughing softly at the right jokes. A board member's wife corners me near the silent auction. No little ones yet. She's well-meaning, wine-flushed. You've been married, 2 years? 3, I say. Oh. The O is loaded with sympathy. Well, these things happen in God's time. Ethan appears at my elbow. Actually, we've been having some challenges. His voice is brave, wounded. Medical challenges. The woman's face transforms into aggressive compassion. Oh, honey, is it... She looks at me meaningfully. We don't know all the details, Ethan says, which is technically true since he's hidden them. But we're hopeful. By the end of the night, half the room has heard some version of our fertility struggles. The way Ethan tells it, we're united in tragedy. The way they look at me, I'm the tragedy. In the car afterward, I confront him. You had no right to share that. Share what? Our truth? He's checking emails while the driver navigates traffic. Hiding creates shame. I'm not ashamed of you. The words are supportive and devastating in equal measure. That night, I can't sleep. I go to his office, try the filing cabinet. Locked. But his computer is open, asleep, but not password protected. I search for the clinic's name in his email. There it is, an appointment confirmation. But not for me, for him. 3 months ago, right when he told me he was handling everything, male fertility testing, results to follow, I search more, find a PDF buried in a folder labeled tax documents, open it, a zoospermia. The word stares back at me from his semen analysis. 0 sperm count, not low, not diminished, 0. There's more, a follow-up report discussing potential causes, complications from adolescent mumps, a note about a possible elective vasectomy based on scarring patterns, though Ethan denied having one. My hands are shaking. I search for my name, find my test results in the same hidden folder. Everything normal, everything functional. Excellent ovarian reserve for patient's age, Dr. Patel had written. He knew. He's known for months. I hear footsteps on the stairs and quickly close everything, slip back to bed. He slides in beside me, pulls me close. Can't sleep, he murmurs. Just thinking. Don't think so much. It's not good for you. He kisses my shoulder. Or for our chances. Our chances, which he knows are zero. Maya knows something's wrong before I say anything. She opens her door, takes one look at my face, and pulls me inside. What did he do? Show her the photos I took of the screen. I was too afraid to email them to myself, worried he'd trace it somehow. She listens, her face cycling through disbelief, rage, and something like relief. I knew it, she says finally. I knew something was off, the way he controls you. He doesn't control me. She looks at me steadily. When's the last time you wore your glasses? Contacts are more practical. When's the last time you laughed, really laughed? I laugh. When's the last time you made a decision without wondering what he'd think? The silence stretches between us. We need a lawyer, she says, a good one. I can't afford. I've been saving. Ever since your wedding, I've been putting money aside. Had a feeling you'd need an exit fund. I start crying then, the kind of tears that feel like breaking open. Maya holds me while I sob out 3 years of diminishment, of being edited and refined until I barely recognize myself. We're going to bury him, she says into my hair, legally speaking. The lawyer Maya finds is named Patricia Winters. She has steel gray hair and eyes that have seen every kind of marital cruelty. Her office smells like leather and coffee. He's hidden assets, I assume? It's her first question after reviewing my timeline. I don't know. Maybe. He handles the finances. She makes a note. We'll find them. Men like this always hide money. What about the medical records? I have photos, but not the originals. We'll subpoena them, get certified copies from the clinic. She looks up. You said he claimed you were sterile publicly? At a charity gala, maybe 50 people heard. Defamation potential, good. She writes quickly. Has he been physical? No, never. He wouldn't. Abuse isn't always bruises. Her voice is gentle but firm. Document everything you remember. Every controlling behavior, every lie, every time he isolated you from support. We're building a pattern. I spend the next week writing, filling notebooks with memories I'd trained myself to forget. The time he donated my work clothes to charity because they aged me. The tracker app he installed on my phone for safety. The way he'd schedule couples activities during my family events, then act hurt when I prioritized blood over marriage. Each memory feels like pulling glass from skin. Ethan doesn't see it coming. How could he? I've been so well trained, so compliant. When I serve him papers, he actually laughs. You're not serious. I am. We're in the kitchen of our perfect house. Morning light streams through windows I never chose. He's wearing his workout clothes, about to head to his 5 a.m. CrossFit class. The divorce papers sit between us on the marble island. You have nothing without me. Not a threat, just a statement of fact as he sees it. Your little counselor salary, the apartment you could barely afford, you think you'll manage? I'll be fine. He steps closer. I smell his pre-workout supplement, something green and aggressive. What did you find? What do you mean? Don't play dumb. It doesn't suit you. You found something or you wouldn't have the courage for this. I meet his eyes. I found myself. It's cheesy, but his face tightens with irritation, which makes it worth it. I'll destroy you, he says quietly. You understand that, right? I'll make sure everyone knows what you are. And what am I? Barren, broken, a woman who couldn't give her husband the one thing that matters. The words should hurt, but they don't. Not anymore. We'll see what the court thinks. He leaves for his workout. An hour later, I get a text from Ava. He's requesting an emergency PR meeting. Whatever you're doing, stop. You don't know who you're dealing with. I do, though. Finally, I do. Patricia is thorough. She files subpoenas for the clinic's complete records, not the edited versions Ethan provided. She requests 5 years of his financial records. She deposes Ava, who claims attorney-client privilege, until Patricia points out she's not actually a lawyer. Your husband is escalating, Patricia tells me, 2 weeks into proceedings. He's claiming abandonment, emotional cruelty, and, this is new, fraud. Fraud? He's saying you misrepresented your fertility status before marriage. But I didn't know. I know, but he's establishing a narrative. Poor, successful man tricked by a calculating woman. She slides a paper across her desk. This is from his lawyer. Settlement offer. The number is insultingly low. But worse are the conditions: a comprehensive NDA, no social media presence, no contact with his business associates, and a clause about not disputing his account of the marriage dissolution. He wants me silent. Completely. Sign this and you essentially cease to exist in any way that could affect him. I push the paper back. No. Patricia smiles for the first time since we met. Good. Let's go to war. The storage unit is Maya's idea. She remembers him mentioning it once, something about keeping old tax records off-site. Men who hide medical records hide other things, she says. We find it through credit card statements Patricia subpoenaed. A climate-controlled unit across town, paid annually. Patricia gets a court order to examine the contents. I'm there when they open it. Boxes of documents, all labeled with his meticulous handwriting. Tax records, yes, but also more. A folder marked medical that contains not just our fertility tests, but something else. Consultations from 2 years before we met about elective sterilization procedures. He had a vasectomy before he ever met me, before he ever promised me children. There's also a shredder bag half full. Patricia's assistant starts piecing together strips. They're drafts of emails to Ava discussing narrative control and perception management regarding E's medical situation. E, that's me, reduced to an initial in his strategic planning. Dr. Patel agrees to provide a sworn affidavit. We meet in her office, the same one where Hope died by degrees. I remember you, she says. I remember being confused when your appointment stopped. Your tests were so promising. What about his? She pulls up the records. Severe azoospermia. We discussed potential causes, but he declined further testing, said he wanted to explore options privately. Did he ever mention his vasectomy? She looks up sharply. Vasectomy? I show her the document from the storage unit. Her face goes carefully neutral. This would explain the scarring patterns we observed. She's choosing words carefully. Had I known about a prior procedure, our consultation would have been very different. He never told you. Never. In fact, he specifically denied any prior surgeries when asked. She makes notes. This is highly unusual. A patient seeking fertility treatment while concealing sterility. Would you testify to that? She meets my eyes. Absolutely. Patricia builds the case methodically. Each document is authenticated, stamped, filed in triplicate. She creates a timeline that shows not just deception, but elaborate planning. The vasectomy 2 years before we met. The way he scheduled my appointments during work hours, then canceled them. The deleted emails discussing how to manage the fertility narrative. He's built his own trap, she tells me. Every lie is documented. We get a court date. Ethan's side requests delays, tries to force arbitration, claims I'm being unreasonable. Patricia responds to each motion with precision. They're getting desperate, she says. Good. Meanwhile, Ethan escalates the public narrative. At another charity event, I hear about it from a colleague, he tells a room full of donors about our tragedy, how he's tried to protect my privacy, but the stress of infertility has changed me, made me unstable. Someone records it, posts it to Instagram with crying emoji and prayers for Ethan hashtags. The video goes minor viral in our social circle. I get texts from acquaintances offering sympathy for my condition. My principal calls me in, asks if I need time off to deal with health issues. There are no health issues, I tell her. She looks uncomfortable. Ethan Hale is a significant donor to our literacy program. The threat is implicit: your job or your voice. I choose my voice. The night before court, I don't sleep. I sit at Maya's kitchen table, drinking tea that's gone cold, reading through my statement one more time. The facts are all there, clear and chronological. But facts aren't feelings, and tomorrow I'll have to sit across from him and speak truth to his face. Maya finds me there at 3 a.m. You need to rest. I can't. Every time I close my eyes, I see him, that face he makes when he's winning. She sits across from me. You know what I remember? Your college graduation. You walked across that stage like you owned it, first in our family to get a degree. That was different. No, it wasn't. You've always been strong. He just made you forget. She reaches across, squeezes my hand. Tomorrow, you remind him. I try to sleep after that, but mostly I stare at the ceiling, practicing being brave. The courtroom is smaller than I expected, more office than theater. Judge Rivera is already seated when we arrive, reading through papers with the kind of attention that misses nothing. The court reporter sits ready. The bailiff looks bored. It's just another Tuesday for them. For me, it's everything. Ethan enters with his lawyer and Ava. He's in his best suit, the charcoal Tom Ford, with a tie the color of sympathy. His face is arranged in suffering dignity. Ava has coached him well. Our eyes meet across the aisle. He smiles, small and private, the way he used to when we were about to enter a party. Showtime, that smile says. Good morning, Judge Rivera says. We're here for Hale versus Hale, dissolution of marriage. I've reviewed the filings, substantial documentation from both sides. She looks over her glasses. And some rather serious allegations. Ethan's lawyer stands, Richard Brennan, all Silver Fox confidence and practiced gravity. Your Honor, my client has tried to handle this dissolution with grace despite extraordinary personal pain. The inability to have children has destroyed not just a marriage but a man's dreams of fatherhood. Objection, Patricia says calmly, assumes facts not in evidence. Sustained. Mr. Brennan, save the narrative for your argument. He adjusts, but the tone is set. Poor Ethan, tragic Ethan. We're requesting the proposed asset division based on the shorter duration of marriage and the documented emotional distress my client has endured. Additionally, the confidentiality clauses are essential given Mr. Hale's public position and the sensitive nature of the medical issues involved. Mrs. Winters, the judge turns to Patricia. Your Honor, we contest both the asset division and the confidentiality demands. More importantly, we have evidence that Mr. Hale has knowingly misrepresented facts material to this case. Brennan scoffs. Your Honor, this is a desperate attempt to... I have the evidence here. Patricia lifts the manila envelope. Red string, sealed, chain of custody maintained. Subpoenaed medical records that tell a very different story than Mr. Hale has presented. The judge extends her hand. Patricia rises, delivers the envelope, returns to her seat beside me. Under the table, my hands are fisted so tight my nails cut crescents into my palms. Judge Rivera opens the envelope with the kind of ceremony reserved for things that matter. The sound of paper sliding out is the loudest thing I've ever heard. She reads. The room holds its breath. Ethan shifts in his chair, the first crack in his composure. Mr. Hale, the judge says finally, these records indicate you were diagnosed with azoospermia 15 months ago. Is that correct? Brennan starts to stand. Your Honor, I'm asking your client directly. Ethan's jaw works. There may have been some testing that revealed complete sterility. Additionally, there are records here of a vasectomy performed 2 years before your marriage. She looks up. Did you inform your wife of this procedure? I don't recall the specific. It's a yes or no question, Mr. Hale. The silence stretches. Ava is typing frantically on her phone. Brennan is shuffling papers. Ethan is calculating, visibly calculating what he can salvage. "No," he says finally. "Yet you've claimed throughout these proceedings that your wife is infertile. I was told the doctors suggested." "Mr. Hale." The judge's voice could freeze water. "These records show your wife's fertility tests came back completely normal. They also show you canceled her follow-up appointments and retrieved her records without her knowledge." I allow myself to breathe. One breath, then another. "Furthermore," Judge Rivera continues, "there's an email thread here between you and your public relations manager discussing how to, quote, control the narrative around Eva's supposed infertility for maximum sympathetic impact," end quote. Ava stops typing. "Your Honor," Brennan tries, "personal communications taken out of context." "The context seems quite clear, Counselor." She sets the papers down. "Mr. Hale, you've made public statements about your wife's medical condition that you knew to be false. You've submitted filings to this court containing those same falsehoods. Are you aware that's perjury?" Ethan's face has gone gray. I want to speak to my attorney." "You should. In the meantime, I'm striking all medical testimony from your filings. The asset division will be reconsidered in light of this deception. And, Mrs. Hale," I stand. My legs are steady. "Yes, Your Honor? Do you wish to pursue defamation charges?" I look at Ethan, really look at him. He's smaller than I remembered, diminished without his narrative of suffering. "I want a public correction," I say, "a statement to everyone he told that I was infertile, the truth. That can be arranged. Mr. Brennan, I strongly suggest your client comply unless he wants additional legal troubles." Patricia stands. "Your Honor, we're also requesting compensation for therapy costs related to the emotional abuse documented here, and removal of all confidentiality clauses from the settlement." Granted. The gavel comes down. Such a small sound for such a big moment. Outside the courtroom, Ethan corners me while our lawyers confer. "You've ruined me," he says quietly. "You know that. My reputation, my business." "No." My voice is steady, clear. "You ruined you. I just declined to hide it. You were nothing before me. I was myself. That's everything." He looks at me like I'm a stranger. Maybe I am. Maybe the woman he married would have protected his secrets, chosen his reputation over her truth. But she's gone, edited out of existence by his own hand. "The statement," I say, "make sure it includes the charity board. They should know their donor lied about his wife's medical condition for sympathy." His face twists. "You vindictive." "Accurate. The word you're looking for is accurate." Patricia appears at my elbow. "We're done here. Mrs. Hale, shall we?" We leave him there, standing in the hallway of justice, finally out of narrative to spin. The statement goes out a week later. Ethan's lawyer crafts it carefully, admitting misunderstandings and emotional distress led to incorrect assumptions. It's not the full confession I wanted, but it's enough. The charity board quietly distanced themselves. His company's PR shifts focus to innovation, away from his personal story. The financial settlement is fair, finally, not punitive, just fair. Half the assets, as it should have been from the start. No confidentiality clause, no silence demanded. I use part of the money to rent a small apartment downtown. Nothing fancy, but it's mine. I retrieve my grandmother's chair from storage, place it by the window where morning light streams in. It looks right there, worn and real and honest. My principal calls me in again, but this time her face is different. "I owe you an apology," she says. "The pressure I put on you about Ethan's donations, that was wrong." "Thank you." "How are the kids, your students?" "They're good. We're starting a unit on recognizing healthy relationships." She smiles. Seems timely. I return to my counseling room with its chalky air and earnest children's artwork taped to the walls. Jalen is waiting, bouncing his knee the way he does when he's anxious. "Miss H, you seem different," he says. "Better different." Yeah? Yeah, like you laugh for real now. Out of the mouths of babes. I start a support group in the evenings. Nothing official, just women gathering in a community center basement, sharing coffee and stories. We talk about gaslighting, about the slow erosion of self that happens when someone you love tells you you're wrong about your own reality. He convinced me I was allergic to foods I'd eaten my whole life, one woman says. Mine had me believing I was bad with money while he drained our accounts, says another. We don't offer solutions, just witness. Sometimes that's all you need, someone to say, that happened. That was real, you're not crazy. Dr. Patel reaches out 6 months after the divorce. She's careful, professional, but I hear something else in her voice. I wanted you to know, she says, your records helped another patient. Her husband was doing the same thing, hiding his sterility, blaming her. She's getting help now. Good. Also, she pauses, if you ever want to discuss fertility options for yourself, single motherhood is more supported than ever. I thank her, but I'm not ready for that conversation. Maybe someday, maybe not. The point is, it's my choice now. A year passes. I'm in a coffee shop, grading papers, when Ava walks in. She freezes when she sees me, calculates her options, then approaches. Helen. My name sounds strange in her mouth. How are you? Well. She sits uninvited, looks older, tired around the eyes. I wanted to say, what he did was wrong. I knew it was wrong. But you helped him. It was my job. No, your job was public relations. What you did was enable abuse. She flinches. I know. I'm not. I left the firm, started over. Good for you. She stands to leave, then turns back. He's with someone new, young. Marketing consultant for his company. And I've been wondering if I should warn her. I consider this. Yes, you should. She nods, leaves. I don't know if she'll actually do it, but the possibility exists. Maybe that's enough. 2 years post-divorce, I meet someone. His name is David, and he's a carpenter who reads philosophy for fun. We meet at a bookstore, both reaching for the same copy of Marcus Aurelius. You take it, he says. We could share. Coffee and stoicism? He has a laugh that fills rooms. He wears glasses without apology. He has no social media presence, no personal brand, no image to maintain. On our third date, I tell him about Ethan, all of it. He listens without interrupting, without trying to fix or minimize. That's horrific, he says when I finish. You survived something horrific. Not, you're so strong, or everything happens for a reason. Just acknowledgement. It's perfect. We take it slow. I'm learning to trust again, but more importantly, I'm learning to trust myself, to recognize red flags versus anxiety, to distinguish love from control. He never edits me, never times my responses or critiques my laugh. When I snort laugh at his terrible puns, he grins like he's won something. The call comes 3 years after the divorce. It's Dr. Patel. I thought you should know, she says carefully. Ethan's new wife is pregnant. I'm quiet, processing. Donor sperm? I can't say, patient confidentiality, but, she pauses, she doesn't know about the vasectomy. You're sure? She asked me why they were having trouble, seemed to think it might be her. The cycle repeating. Another woman being diminished, blamed, gaslit into believing her body is failing. Can you tell her? Not without violating ethics, but if someone were to reach out to her independently. She can't ask me directly, but she's asking. I find the woman, Rebecca, on social media, 26, bright-smiled, holding a champagne flute at some gala, Ethan's arm around her waist like a possession. The message I send is simple. I'm Ethan's ex-wife. If you ever want to talk, I'm here. She doesn't respond for 2 weeks. Then, is it true, what the court records say? Every word. He told me you were unstable. That you made it all up. I know. I'm pregnant. Congratulations. It's not his. I know. A long pause, then, can we meet? We meet in the same coffee shop where Ava found me. Rebecca is visibly pregnant, maybe 6 months. She's beautiful in that polished way I recognize, but there's something fierce in her eyes. He doesn't know I know, she says, about the vasectomy. Found the records when I was looking for insurance papers. What will you do? Leave. After the baby's born. I've been planning. She touches her stomach. He thinks this baby makes me trapped, but it makes me brave. Do you need help? Maybe, yes. Your lawyer's information would be good. I write Patricia's number on a napkin. She's excellent. He's already starting, Rebecca says quietly. The editing. Says my laugh is too loud. Says I need to think about our child's future reputation. It's not about you. It never was. I'm keeping the baby, she says suddenly. Even with everything. Of course you are. It's yours. She starts crying then, hormonal and overwhelmed. I reach across, take her hand. We sit there, two women who loved the same illusion, connected by survival. The final revelation comes from an unexpected source, Brennan, Ethan's former lawyer. He calls Patricia, who calls me. He wants to meet with you, she says, off the record, says he has information about the vasectomy. Why now? Ethan stiffed him on fees, apparently. Funny how ethics become flexible when money's involved. We meet in Patricia's office, neutral ground. Brennan looks older, less silver fox, more gray wolf. The vasectomy, he says without preamble, wasn't his first. He had it reversed once before for his college girlfriend, then had it done again after she left him. Why? Control. He wanted to decide if and when children happened. Every relationship, he'd dangle the possibility, use it as leverage. You knew this during our divorce? Suspected. Couldn't prove it then. He slides a folder across the desk. Medical records from his college years. Don't ask how I got them. I won't, but I look. There it is. Vasectomy at 22, reversal at 24, vasectomy again at 26. A pattern of surgical control. There's more, Brennan says. He's done this to at least 3 women. The fertility blame, the public humiliation. You're the only one who fought back legally. The others? Signed NDAs, took the money and silence. I feel sick and vindicated in equal measure. It was never about me, never about my supposed failures. It was about power, about the ability to create and destroy hope at will. I give the information to Rebecca's lawyer. It helps her case, establishes pattern behavior. She leaves Ethan when the baby is 3 months old, armed with evidence and fury. He tries to claim paternity, demands tests. The court orders them. When they confirm what everyone already knows, the baby isn't his, he pivots, claims fraud, emotional damages. The judge, different from mine, but equally unimpressed, dismisses everything. Mr. Hale, she says, you appear to have a pattern of deception regarding fertility. Perhaps it's time to stop. Rebecca gets full custody, substantial support, and something more, freedom from his narrative. She names the baby Aurora, New Dawn. It fits. 5 years now since that courtroom, since the envelope opened and truth spilled out like light. I'm 35, unmarried again, by choice, living in an apartment that's all mine. My grandmother's chair sits by the window, plants overflow their pots, student artwork covers my refrigerator. I still counsel children, but now I also train other counselors in recognizing signs of domestic manipulation. I tell them what to look for. The child whose mother suddenly stops laughing, whose father times her phone calls, who mentions mommy's new rules about speaking. David and I lasted 2 good years before realizing we were better as friends. No drama, no blame, just recognition that healing doesn't always mean moving forward with the person who witnessed it. He still builds me bookshelves sometimes. Maya has her own family now, 2 kids who call me Aunt Helen and paint my nails terrible colors. When they laugh too loud, she celebrates it. I think about children sometimes, the ones Ethan promised and withheld, the ones that existed only as weapons in his arsenal of control. I think about Rebecca's Aurora, who will grow up knowing her mother chose her, fought for her, refused to let her become a pawn. I think about my students, all the kids I've counseled through their small heartbreaks and large ones. Maybe motherhood isn't just biology. Maybe it's presence, witness, the willingness to see a small person becoming themselves and not try to edit them into something more convenient. Or maybe that's just what I tell myself on quiet nights when the weight of what was stolen feels heavy. Not the ability to have children, that was always mine, despite his lies, but the years, the time spent becoming smaller, quieter, less myself. You can't get time back. but you can refuse to give away any more of it. Last week, I ran into Ethan at a restaurant. I was with colleagues laughing at something, really laughing, the snorting kind, when I saw him across the room. He was with a new woman, younger than Rebecca, and I watched him lean over, whisper something that made her quickly cover her mouth, stifle her laugh into something more appropriate. Our eyes met. He looked away first. I returned to my conversation, to my unedited laugh, to my life that no longer needs his approval. The woman with him kept glancing over, curious perhaps about who could make Ethan Hale flinch. Just his ex-wife. The one who told the truth. The support group has grown. We meet in a proper room now, with good lighting and comfortable chairs. Last week, a new woman joined, court documents still crisp in her folder. He says I'm imagining things, she told us, that I'm too sensitive, that I'm creating problems where none exist. What do you think? I asked. I think, she paused, gathered courage, I think he's lying. Then you're already halfway free. She cried then, but it was the good kind, relief, recognition, the first crack in the wall gaslighting builds. After the meeting, she lingered. How do you know, she asked. How do you know what's real when someone keeps telling you you're wrong? Your body knows, I told her. That tension in your chest when he criticizes, that relief when he's gone, that's truth. Listen to it. What if I'm wrong? What if you're right? She left with Patricia's card and my phone number. 3 days later, she texted, I filed. Another woman choosing herself over someone else's narrative. It never gets old. The world is full of Ethans, men and women who build their power on others' diminishment, who craft elaborate fictions where they're heroes and everyone else is broken, who steal hope and call it love. But the world is also full of survivors, people who find the storage units, who piece together shredded documents, who sit in courtrooms and speak truth despite the cost, who refuse to be edited into silence. We recognize each other now, those of us who've been through it, a certain steadiness in the eyes, a way of holding space without shrinking, a laugh that won't be contained. This morning, I woke to sunlight through curtains I chose, in sheets I picked, to a day that's entirely mine. I made coffee in my grandmother's mug, the one with the chip and the handle that Ethan would have thrown away. Sat in her chair, watching the city wake up. My phone buzzed. Rebecca sending a photo of Aurora taking her first steps. She's unstoppable, the message read. Aren't we all, eventually? I thought about responding, then decided to simply witness, to let the moment be what it was. Proof that life continues, that children grow despite the circumstances of their conception, that women survive the men who try to break them. Tonight, I have a date. Someone new, an environmental lawyer who reads poetry and has opinions about coffee. We're meeting at a bookstore. He doesn't know the whole story yet, might never need to. But if he does, I'll tell it without shame, without editing, without making it smaller to make him comfortable. That's the gift of survival, not the healing, which is ongoing, or the justice, which was partial. It's the ability to tell your story exactly as it was, without apology, without revision. Ethan took what he could touch, money, time, the narrative for a while. But the things that couldn't be touched, the truth of what happened, the peace that comes from finally speaking it, those were always mine. The envelope in that courtroom held medical records, yes, evidence of deception, proof of gaslighting, documentation of cruelty disguised as love. But really, it held something simpler and more powerful. It held the truth. And the truth, it turns out, doesn't need anyone's edit. There's a woman in my building who reminds me of myself 5 years ago. Perfect clothes that aren't quite her style. A laugh that cuts off abruptly. Phone calls she takes in whispers. Yesterday, I saw her crying by the mailboxes, holding what looked like legal papers. You okay? I asked. Fine, she said automatically. Then, actually, no, I'm not fine. Want coffee? I have a very comfortable grandmother's chair and absolutely no judgment. She looked at me, really looked, and maybe saw something she recognized. Yes, she said. Yes, I think I do. We climbed the stairs to my apartment, and I thought about cycles, how they break, how they continue, how we interrupt them with nothing more than witness and a willingness to say, that happened, you're not crazy, you're going to be okay. And we are, all of us who've been edited, diminished, blamed for things that were never our fault, we're okay. More than okay. We're unedited, uncontained, unashamed. We're free. Sometimes, when I can't sleep, I imagine that courtroom moment differently. Not the facts, those are fixed, immutable, documented, but the feeling of it. In my imagination, I stand when the judge opens the envelope. I walk to Ethan's table, look him in the eye, and say everything I couldn't then. That I know about the vasectomy he got before we met, that I know about the other women he did this to. That I know about the elaborate performance of grief he constructed over children he made sure we'd never have. But most of all, I tell him this: you didn't break me. You edited me, refined me, tried to minimize me into something manageable. But underneath all that reduction was a woman you never actually knew, one who kept receipts, one who remembered herself, one who would sit in a courtroom and watch your carefully constructed life collapse with something that wasn't quite satisfaction, but wasn't quite sorrow either. It was simpler than that. It was peace. In reality, I said none of this. I sat quietly, hands folded, while justice unfolded in measured legal language. But silence, I've learned, can be its own kind of speech, especially when it's chosen, not commanded. Yesterday would have been our anniversary, 7 years. I only remembered because Facebook showed me a memory. The engagement announcement Ava crafted, all soft lighting and careful angles. We're building a future together, the caption read. Ethan's words, of course. I looked at my younger self in that photo. She's smiling, but there's something in her eyes. Not sadness exactly, but a kind of careful attention, like she's studying the script she's supposed to follow. I want to tell her, you're going to lose yourself. For 3 years, you're going to become smaller and smaller until you almost disappear. You're going to believe terrible things about your body, your worth, your right to take up space. But you're also going to find yourself again, in a storage unit full of hidden truths, in your sister's fierce loyalty, in a lawyer who believes you, in a judge who sees through performance to fact. You're going to sit in a courtroom and watch the man who diminished you be diminished by nothing more than truth. And then you're going to go home to an apartment that's yours, sit in your grandmother's chair, and laugh as loud as you want. Delete the photo. That woman doesn't need my nostalgia or my pity. She's doing what she needs to survive. And survival, it turns out, is its own kind of beginning. The letter arrives on a Tuesday, forwarded from my old address. Expensive stationery, Ethan's handwriting, no return address, but I know. Inside, a single paragraph. I've been in therapy, working on accountability. I realize now the pain I caused, the lies I told to you and to myself. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that I know. Finally, I know. I read it twice, then fold it back into its envelope. Maya says I should burn it. Patricia says to keep it for documentation. David says it doesn't matter what I do with it. What matters is how I feel about it. The truth? I feel nothing. Not anger, not vindication, not even curiosity about whether his therapy is real or performed. The letter is just paper, just words, just another attempt at narrative control, this time casting himself as the reformed villain seeking redemption. I file it with the divorce papers, the court transcripts, all the documentation of that particular chapter, not because I need to keep it, but because it belongs with the rest of the evidence, proof that it happened, that it was real, that I survived it. This morning, a new woman joined our support group. She's older, maybe 50, with silver streaking through her hair and hands that shake slightly as she holds her coffee. 30 years, she says. 30 years of being told I was too sensitive, too dramatic, too much, and not enough all at once. We listen. That's what we do. We listen without trying to fix, without minimizing, without comparing traumas. He died, she continues, 6 months ago, heart attack, and I thought I'd feel free, but instead I feel untethered, like without his voice telling me I'm wrong, I don't know what's right. You know, I tell her, you've always known. It's just been so long since you trusted yourself that it feels like forgetting. She nods, cries a little, laughs at crying. My daughter says I'm different now, lighter but also sadder. Both can be true. He took so much time, decades. But not the rest. You have the rest. After the meeting, she approaches me. You were married to Ethan Hale. It's not a question. My story has traveled through certain circles, a cautionary tale with a rare ending, the woman who won. I was. My husband knew him. They golfed together. He used to come home and tell me about poor Ethan struggling with his barren wife. I'm sorry. Don't be. I knew it was a lie. How? She smiles, and there's something sharp in it, something that survived 30 years of diminishment. Because my husband told the same story about me, and I'd had 3 miscarriages trying to give him the son he demanded. She pauses. Some men need women to be broken. It's the only way they can feel whole. We stand there, 2 women on either side of survival, understanding passing between us like current. I keep the newspaper clipping, she says, from your divorce, the one where the judge called him out. I read it sometimes when I forget that truth exists. She leaves, but her words stay. Someone kept my story as proof that truth can win. That's something. That's everything. The speaking invitation surprises me. A conference on coercive control in relationships, wanting a survivor's perspective. The honorarium is generous. The audience will be professionals, therapists, lawyers, social workers. You should do it, Patricia says. Your story could help shape how these cases are handled. But it's not really my story anymore, is it? It's Rebecca's story, and the woman from my building's story, and the silver-haired woman's story. It's every person who's been edited into something smaller and fought to remember their original shape. I accept. The speech I write is careful, factual. I name behaviors without naming Ethan, though anyone could Google the details. I talk about documentation, about the importance of believing your body's signals, about the slow erosion that makes you complicit in your own diminishment. The envelope, I tell the audience, contained medical records that proved deception. But what really mattered was that someone, a judge, opened it, looked at evidence instead of performance, believed facts over narrative. The biggest obstacle to leaving, I continue, isn't love or money or fear. It's the voice in your head that sounds like theirs, telling you you're crazy, too sensitive, imagining things. The work isn't just leaving, it's learning to trust your own voice again. Afterward, a young lawyer approaches. I'm representing a woman whose husband claims she's infertile. Because of your case, I knew to subpoena his medical records too. What did you find? Vasectomy, 5 years ago. Another Ethan, another woman being blamed for a man's choices. There's a support group, I tell her, and give her our information. The cycles continue. Break, reform, continue again. But each breaking makes the next one easier. Each woman who speaks makes the silence less powerful. I still think about children sometimes. 35 isn't too old, despite what Ethan used to say about my declining fertility. Dr. Patel sent me information about options, paths forward that don't require a partner or permission. Maybe someday. Or maybe my motherhood will always be tangential. The kids I counsel, the women I witness, the truth I help deliver into the world. Both are valid, both are enough, both are mine to choose. Tonight, there's a message from an unknown number, a photo of a legal document, another divorce filing, another woman leaving an Ethan-shaped hole in her life. At the bottom, a note, "Thank you for going first." I don't know who she is. It doesn't matter. She's all of us who've been diminished and decided to reclaim space, who've been called broken and refused to believe it, who've sat in courtrooms or lawyers' offices or therapists' chairs and spoken truth despite the cost. Tomorrow I'll go to work, counsel kids through their problems, laugh too loud at lunch with colleagues. This weekend I'll see Maya's family, let my nieces paint my nails terrible colors, sit in my grandmother's chair and read. Next month I'll speak at another conference, share the story that's no longer just mine, talk about envelopes and evidence and the moment when performance collapses under the weight of truth. But tonight, I'm just sitting at my kitchen table in my apartment with its crooked pictures and coffee-ringed surfaces, writing thank you cards to the women in my support group. Each one a witness, a survivor, a reminder that we're not alone in this. The last card is for Rebecca. Inside, I write, Aurora is lucky to have a mother who chose truth over comfort, who refused to let her become a pawn in someone else's game, who knew that leaving isn't failing, it's beginning. I seal the envelopes, such small things to hold such large truths, and prepare them for mailing. Outside, the city continues its evening rhythms. Inside, my space remains unedited, honest, mine. The marble and glass house Ethan bought for our theoretical children sold last month. The real estate listing called it pristine, showplace quality, perfect for entertaining. Empty, I thought when I saw it. It was always empty, even when we lived there. But this apartment, with its worn chair and stubborn plants and walls covered in children's art, this is full. Full of chosen things, recovered things, things that matter because I say they do. That's the revenge, really. Not the courtroom victory or the financial settlement or even the public vindication. It's this, sitting in my own space, laughing at my own volume, living a life he would find incomprehensibly small and impossibly rich. He took everything that could be touched. I took everything that couldn't, the truth and my peace.